Hello, I'm Joe Manganiello with your WDT News Week in Review for September 5th, 2014. Our first story today, the Amish gather with hammers and nails to show their gratitude. Susan Mendy reported on Tuesday that more than 30 Amish teens and men arrived at the home of Jeffrey Stinson and got to work building him a brand new garage. It was Mr. and Mrs. Stinson who were home when two young Amish sisters arrived at their doorstep on August 14th. The Stinsons instantly recognized the girls as the two Hewelton sisters who had been kidnapped the previous evening from a roadside vegetable stand. They fed the girls, and they returned them to their parents in Hewelton that night. To return the favor, the tens of Amish men rebuilt Stinson's garage, which he had lost in a fire this July. Said Stinson's friend Patrick Bellinger, quote, "God took two bad things, a fire and an abduction, and he turned it upside down and made a good thing." Our next story, an autopsy determines the body found in Messina was a female, but no ID just yet. Bob Beckstead of Johnson Newspapers reported on Wednesday. Other information on the body, such as the person's identity or the cause of death, remain uncertain. The body was found last Friday in a wooded area near the ARC Bottle Redemption Center in the Messina Industrial Park. State police continue to check databases of missing persons and are urging anyone who is aware of a missing person case that has not yet been reported to call law enforcement at the state police at 518-897-2000. Fordham law professor and upstart political challenger Zephyr Teachout promised to visit northern New York after she wins the Democratic primary against Governor Andrew Cuomo. On Tuesday, she spoke with reporter Dan Flatley about several important positions that she has taken. I got a chance to talk with Dan earlier today about the candidate. Dan, Zephyr Teachout has committed to coming to northern New York once she wins the primary against Andrew Cuomo on September 9th. So I got to ask you, are we going to be seeing her in a couple weeks?
Probably not. She's still got quite an uphill battle to take on the incumbent. I think what a lot of people are watching is the race for lieutenant governor, where her running mate Timothy Wu seems to be making some pretty serious inroads, and may be able to beat Kathy Hochul, who's running as Andrew Cuomo's running mate.
Yeah, he got approval from the New York Times.
Yeah, he was endorsed by the New York Times, and New York State, it's kind of a quirk of the way our election laws work. The candidate for governor and lieutenant governor don't actually run on the same ticket, so they're separate offices. So what happens there could be kind of interesting, especially since Governor Cuomo seems to be not really considering that Timothy Wu would win.
The North Country's stake in Fort Drum is stressed. Gordon Block reported on Friday that the Fort Drum Regional Liaison Organization appealed to the Army, which conducted a recent study of worst-case scenario cuts at Fort Drum and 29 other bases nationwide, that Northern New York's investment is too high for wide-scale personnel cuts at Fort Drum. Read that story and how Democratic congressional candidate Aaron Wolf would improve affordable health care on Friday's paper, or online at thewatertowndailytimes.com, or on Twitter at WDT News, and of course you can find us on Facebook at the Watertown Daily Times. And look for a special edition 16-page look at 30 years of the 10th Mountain Division at Fort Drum in our Sunday newspaper. Well, for your WDT News Week in Review, I'm Joe Manganiello.